Hello and welcome to my review of REC2, which I didn't like at all, and I'm going to explain to you why in this review, obviously, and I guess I've seen the first one, so I guess I'm kind of obligated to tell you what I thought of the first one. Well, the first one I thought was it was okay. It did have a few little logical inconsistencies, but overall, it's fairly decent. So, very professional here. So what's the story of REC1 just called? REC. Well, basically the story is that there's this this host of a TV show. It's called While You're Asleep. Don't worry, it's not that creepy as it sounds. Basically what this documentary does is it goes to, let's say, a hospital, a police department. In this case, it's a fire department. And they basically go in, well, at night while you and I are sleeping, and they basically document what these people do at night. They basically just document these people's night shift, like what goes on at night at a hospital, police department, etc. And in the movie, they're basically going to this fire department to basically document how firefighter work, life, whatever, like what goes on during the night. And of course, they go there, they talk to all these different people working there, all the firefighters. And that's the first thing I did really like, is how they portray the people working there. They're likable. They're kind of interested in what's going on. They're willing to show this this host. It's a female host. I can't forget forget the name. It was something Velasco, Miranda Velasco, something like that is the actress's name. The character's name is Andrea Vidal. Sorry about that. And anyway, yeah, I like the way they portray the firefighters, I don't know if they're actually real firefighters. I don't think so. I think they're all actors. Anyway, so they basically get this call from this house that some old lady, I don't know, something's just wrong. And yeah, they call that fire department, and they basically go there and to investigate, or just to see what's wrong. And that's basically where the entire story kicks off. And yeah, they go to this house and they meet up with all these people. There's a police officer there who, of course, doesn't like it at all that they're filming there. But yeah, they basically say the host says, yeah, we have this permit that we can film there and all this sort of stuff. And there we come to the next thing I like, and that's the people in the house, all the people living there. There's like there's like an older couple. Then we have a guy who's like in his mid-30s, I think. He's like assistant doctor or something. He says that at one point. Then we have an elderly couple. And we have a mother with her child. It's going to be sort of a plot point, sort of. They don't even address that later on. With her 7-year-old kid. Then we have this Asian family, and then we have a guy. I actually like that guy. He's like a middle-aged, I don't know, like how can I say this? Yeah, just imagine like a greased up, older, like middle-aged guy. He's probably, I don't know, 55 or something, like going 60. And I kind of like that guy because there's this one scene, and that's also what I like about the first movie, is there are some legitimately funny scenes in this. Like, there's the scene with that old, rather old guy who, basically the host wants to interview him, and they still got the camera running, although they tell him, the camera's off. And then he goes into this sort of almost like racist kind of tirade about this Asian family that lives there. Like, oh, they're always talking in their Japanese or Chinese talk and blah blah blah, and you can't really understand the fucking word they're saying. And then after that, he's basically going like, so are we ready to roll now? Are you gonna turn on the camera so we can get started? And then the host, off camera, then tells him, actually, we've had this thing on for like 10 minutes or so. And of course they recorded his entire racist tirade. And then he gives this look, or this, what this actor does, very convincing. He gives this look or this expression like, oh shit, like you're gonna cut that out, aren't you? Like this stuff, you're not gonna be showing any of that stuff. And I like that they don't even address it, they just go to the interview. Like, you have a feeling that if this were actually like this program that they're trying to do, if this thing would actually go through as planned, and they would actually air this, that, yeah, you might, at least I sort of get the feeling that, yeah, they're probably gonna, they're just gonna leave that in. They're just gonna leave this entire 5-minute tirade of this guy. They're gonna leave that in. And, yeah, that's one of the more enjoyable moments of this movie. And, yeah, gotten a little sidetracked. But basically what happens is they go up to this old lady who's supposed to have some sort of problem or something. And and then basically all of the stuff kicks off. Like, you see she's possessed or, like, infected or something like that. And then you basically get this whole zombie attack, blah, blah, blah thing. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it because, as I said, I was actually going to review REC2. And, yeah. So, basically, should I tell a bit more? Yeah, the ending to part 1 is basically the kind of plot of part 2. At the end, where pretty much everyone is dead, everybody's been killed off by these, I'm going to call it zombies, because, as I said, the second movie is going to go a little bit deeper into what's actually going on. And, yeah, you're not going to like it. The ending of the first movie is everyone's dead, except for, like, Pablo, that's the name of the camera guy, and the hostess, the hostess, yeah. The host, the female host, they basically go up to this room, which is really fucking creepy. Like, there's all this sort of, like, crucifixes, whatever the plural is, on the wall. There's, like, all these newspaper clippings of, like, this girl that's supposed to be possessed by some demon, blah, 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 whatever. It's really fucking creepy, but I actually like this thing. I actually like this sort of ending because it leaves a lot of imagination to, the viewer. Because the mother and kid I mentioned earlier, they had a dog who was some sort of, like, kind of infected or something. And you get the sense that, yeah, it's like a real sort of infection, like it's biological and something. And then they go into this room and it's talking about possession and demons and all this weird shit. And, yeah, I kind of like that it does leave it sort of to your imagination, like, are we really talking about, like, real like demonic possession, or are we really just talking about a biological, or this girl who these newspaper clippings keep talking about? Is she really possessed, or is this just some sort of neurological or neurological disorder or something, or is this just some sort of biological virus, like something new that science has never found out, or there's really not that much of information about it online or in textbooks or something, and that, of course, the Vatican and the Catholic Church, they're just going to be stupid and goofy as usual when they just don't understand something, like they always are. And I kind of like that this, at least the first one, now we're getting into this. The first one leaves it to your imagination, or to your, you can sort of make up in your own mind whether we're really going into that possession, we're really going down that possession alley, or if we're just going to chuck it up to a neurological disorder or biological sort of like virus that's never been discovered, or just isn't really all that well known and all that. And yeah, that's what I like about the ending of the first part. And I do like the ending, like the real, like the ending, like the last scene in the first movie. Basically what happens is they go up to like some attic or something, and they see this girl who's like now a woman, and she's really like skinny, and she doesn't actually have like breasts. They're just like kind of hanging like down, like really malnourished, and really, it's fucked up. It's pretty fucked up when you see it. But again, it leaves to your imagination. Is she just like clinically insane? Is it just a neurological disorder? Is she just infected with some biological weapon or something? And then it said that she's been taken care of by some priest. And again, it's something like, you could maybe make the insinuation that, again, we have just this case where some retarded priest just thought she's like possessed or something, and he just leaves her up there, holds her hostage, and in reality, we could have helped this woman. Basically, what happens is the camera guy and the hostess, can I say hostess? Is that even a real word? Anyway, I'm just getting sidetracked. The female host, go up into this attic, and then they meet this woman, this girl, now obviously a woman. And basically what happens is they they turn off the camera and they turn on the camera light. So that's kind of effective when you just see like nothing really, and it's all just with the camera lighting and all that. That's kind of effective. Basically, the ending is the woman basically knocks out the camera guy with, I think it's a hammer or something, just clocks him over the head. He's dead. The camera falls down, and she basically, the host, takes the camera, walks around with it. She sort of gets knocked out or something. And the last shot we see, and that's it. It's the first movie. In the first movie, this ending shot is really effective. What happens is she sort of stumbles down, and you only see like the light of the camera. You only see like her face, like lying like this, basically on the ground, completely terrified, whatever. And then you see the last shot is this woman basically takes her and just takes her away from the camera, and that's the end, and that's it. And then we get some sort of, and then the host basically says, Pablo, be sure to record all of this. I wouldn't have put that in there. I don't know why they left that in there. Oh, I have no idea. But again, in the very first movie, that's very effective. Now, in the second movie, this is where it gets really fucking retarded. I'm not even kidding, and excuse my language. The second movie, if you watch the first one, the second movie is just so fucking stupid. Well, okay, so now I'm going to talk about the second movie, REC2. Now, before we get into the plot of REC2, I have to say I like the setup for this. Basically, the setup for the second movie is that I like that it doesn't go like, oh, it's now, I don't know, a week later, whatever. No, it jumps right into the ending of the first movie. It's basically like 2 hours after the events of the first movie, and basically we get the second movie starts off with this sort of SWAT team, basically, and we get some exposition to how in the first movie they had this sort of health inspector guy, whatever, come in to basically ascertain, like, what's going on, what's up with this virus, etc. And basically what happened in the first movie, of course, as I've already said, by the end everyone's dead, including that health inspector. And basically the second movie kicks off with this SWAT team going in to see, what's going on, because we get some exposition that they've lost contact with the guy with the health inspector guy like an hour ago. I think they said it's, like 70 minutes or something. And basically the SWAT team goes in to investigate to see if there are any survivors, if there are any wounded people, whatever. So they go into this. Basically, they have the entrance of this house. They have this all shielded with like plastic sheets and drapes and like a tunnel or something, like like you see in some movies like E.T. basically, like with the exterminator and all that stuff. So they go in, and then we get the first fuck you of this movie. They go in, and when you go into like if you were watching this from my point of view, basically to your right is a big staircase that goes up that leads to all the upper floors. And they go in, and they see this big puddle of blood, and this some handcuffs, or at least one part of a handcuff, and you see in the first movie, the mother of the child, they just handcuffed her to the handrails of the staircase, and then later you see she gets infected, and then a bunch of infected just come in and they just eat her. And that's where I started getting kind of angry, because if you think about it, wouldn't there be like, I don't know, some kind of maybe like clothes or something? Or hell yeah, wouldn't there be like her body or something? Or like if they sort of make it obvious that they sort of ripped off her hand, the hand that's cuffed to like here, like to the handrails. And, continuity just gets fucked. And I do sort of understand that maybe the actress, like they couldn't get they weren't obviously shooting this 2 hours after they shot the first one, because the second one came out like a year later or so. And I guess they couldn't get the actress to return or something. But, yeah. Okay, so here you basically have the big first fuck you of this movie, but it gets worse. Don't worry. It gets worse. Then, hell. Excuse me if I have to think for a moment. Right. One of those SWAT guys then turns out to be, like, a priest, and he's kind of knows what's going on, and he's kind of familiar with that whole possession kind of thing. And, yeah, that's where this movie basically falls apart. Where basically what this movie tells you is this whole possession thing, it's real. This whole possession thing, forget what I said about part one, that, it might just be some unknown, unexplained disease, virus, neurological disorder. The church, again, has no idea how to handle this. They just lock people up when they don't know what to do with them. Forget that shit. Just forget everything you thought about the first movie, any kind of ideas you had, and, that I had. No, you know what? Fuck all this shit. This whole possession thing, it's real. Yeah, and the reason it pisses me off, maybe not just because I'm an atheist, but I guess any secular theist or anyone who sort of knows a thing or two about, like, the church's history with possession and all that, you should kind of get offended by this. That they really just pull this sort of rug out under your pull the rug out and basically just go with it. Like, this is just, Anyway, like I said, the problem is, this isn't like some fantasy kind of world. This isn't like, I don't know, like True Blood or something like that, where you have mythological stuff, fantasy stuff going on, but you do know that it's still the real world. Like, in True Blood, they still have senators, they still have, your crazy right-wing evangelical asshats. This stuff exists in the real world. But with REC, like with the first movie, this is the real world. Like, this is the real nuts and bolts reality where, you can't just drop this really crazy stuff into and then just tell you, this shit is real. This shit is like, this stuff exists. It doesn't. And the thing that's really, like, pisses me off with this whole possession thing is, we've had countless, well, maybe not countless, but there have been cases, enough cases where, the church said, it's all, possession, and then we found out about, epilepsy. We blamed diseases on curses and on witchcraft and all that, and then we found out about germ theory, and then we found out about, psychology, Freud. Why do people behave that way? Why do certain people, why do certain people become rapists? Why do certain people turn to, become psychopathic dictators, become psychopathic murderers, etc.? We can't explain this stuff. It's not like there really is some like some devil or some stupid shit that grabs onto people and makes them do all this shit. We know how certain things work. We know how certain things come to be. And, you know, this doesn't even work. You can't just put in a subject like possession and all of that stuff into a movie or into a sequel of a movie that at least I thought while watching, even in the first few minutes, in the first, like, I don't know, 15 minutes or so of like the second movie, I still thought, you know, I'm watching this movie that takes place in the real world. And you can't just dump the shit into this. But, oh, don't worry. It gets even dumber than this. The movie actually manages to get dumber than this. But I obviously have to sort of keep telling you what's going on. Basically, and at about, I don't know, the half-minute mark of this movie, we get like a second storyline of like these three kids who I actually thought were kind of likable. You know, they're teenagers, like, I don't know, maybe 14, 16, something like that. And I don't know, I thought they were kind of likable. You know, they're just some dumb kids. Just some dumb 16-year-old kids that kind of got up to the building, and basically their first intro I kind of liked, actually. Basically even though it is kind of stupid, what they do is basically they take like this this blow up doll, like this love doll up to the roof of the building, and they basically strap some like fireworks, like New Year fireworks on it, and like they honestly think that this thing is gonna like go up, even though like anyone who knows anything about physics and something like escape velocity could just tell these guys, like, dudes, those three rockets you put on that doll, that's not gonna do anything. It doesn't have enough thrust, it doesn't have enough energy to do it. But I do kind of like it because, I mean, come on. When we were that age, we tried stupid shit like that. We tried shit like that ourselves. And, you know, wanted to see if that's actually possible. If you can actually do this stuff. And of course it doesn't work. They light the fireworks and just big bunch of smoke and all that stuff. And sure enough, surprisingly, the love doll doesn't get completely melted down, seeing as it's plastic. But, okay, we'll just, whatever. It's physics. Maybe some stuff doesn't go the way, like, in my mind, it works. But I thought that opening was decent. I kind of like the kids. And I do like it's like two guys and a girl. And I do kind of like the girl, is sort of, responsible, kind of, that she says, you know, like, what the fuck are you doing? We can't just go into this building. It's obviously a bad idea. You know, let's just go. Let's get the hell out of there. Like, there's this scene where the father of the woman and the child, they explain this in the first movie that the father is somewhere else. And basically we get the father going in with like a police guy or something, and then these three kids, or like, I think it's the kid with the camera, or this other kid who's, yeah, kind of an idiot in this respect. He's kind of an asshole in this respect. And you have the girl going like, you know, what the hell are you doing? Just don't. just don't follow them. We have no idea what's in there. It's probably a bad idea if they catch us, they're just gonna toss us out again. Like, stuff. I do kind of like that. But even, and again we get into why this movie is such a big pile of crap. Even with the kids, they manage to ruin this. And this is something that, and there's one specific scene with the kids. And that's it's another thing why this movie is so retarded. It's so damn predictable in some places. Like, there's there's this scene, they're in the house, they already know what's going on, but they're already getting chased by the possessed, now we know, they're legitimately possessed and not just some zombies that have been infected, like people that have been infected with a virus. They're literally possessed. And they don't die, like we see the old granny from the first movie, the reason why this whole thing gets started. Again, and they just can't die, and they already get chased by the zombies. And there's this one scene where the police guy that went in with the father of the kid and the mother, they basically go in, and this police guy gets attacked by one of the zombies, infected, possessed, whatever, by these things, by the bloodthirsty things. And, and they basically have this gun. There's a gun involved in the scene. And basically you get the classic setup of, you have one of the characters fighting either a bad guy, or in this case, the infected, possessed, whatever, and, you know what's gonna happen. The girl gets the gun, and the two are fighting with each other, and she's told by the camera guy, by the other kid that's with them, gets told, shoot the fucking zombie, and you know what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna spoil it. You know what's gonna happen. She doesn't shoot the zombie. She shoots the guy. She shoots the police officer. Again, so damn predictable. And there's another scene which is also very predictable. It happens later in in the movie, where they basically, again, they go up to the attic because, oh shit, that's an entirely different thing that I'll get into right away. Basically, they go up to the attic, or this place where this priest lived, where you saw this crazy, creepy stuff with the crosses and all that. And so there's this tub thing, or I don't know if it's an actual tub or something, but there's like water in it. There's clearly water in it. And you have this one guy from the SWAT team. Again, it's the way it's shot. It's again shot with like camera lighting, that the only lighting comes from the camera. And you see this guy going up to the tub, sort of figure out, okay, this is a tub, whatever. And he looks down into like the water, and again, you know what happens. There's something in there. There's something in the water. It's obviously supposed to be the now legitimately like possessed woman who's still lurking about in there for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, it's predictable as shit. The guy puts his head down, looks in, and of course, something grabs him. The girl grabs him. It's predictable. And now, we're gonna get into some of the really, like what I thought was really fucking stupid. This this movie has pretty much the most annoying fucking character in it's the whole most annoying fucking character in this goddamn movie. It's the priest. Basically what happens is a few, like, not even 20 minutes into this movie, you basically get the reveal of, like, one of the SWAT guys, they're all in, like, their helmets and their gear, and they're all, like, made up, like, big, covered in, like, armor and all that SWAT gear, shit. And then this one guy, who is, sorry, excuse me, sorry, he's not a SWAT guy member, he's, again, some sort of health inspector, health official, blah, and basically, at the 15-minute mark, you kind of get the reveal of him, like, pulling back, like, his, he has, like, this sort of, Velcro kind of thing, like, he pulls it back or something, and then you see, like, the white, thing that, the priest collar, basically. And then it's revealed that he's the priest. Anyway, it gets revealed that he's, like, the priest, and he has this sort of, I guess in this case you could call it like a mission or something. Like, he has this mission, I guess from the Vatican or whatever. It's never really explained. He has this sort of walkie-talkie thing where and the whole thing is built up like they can only escape, get out of the building, when he has, like, he basically needs the blood from the girl. There's, like, this blood sample from this girl, and he needs it so they can perform some sort of test. Ooh, and the test, yeah, we'll get into that. And that's basically his sort of crux, basically, of the whole thing. He has to get he has to get that blood sample so he can test it and see if she's actually possessed or blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, they can only leave this house after he gets this sort of confirmation, which, by the way, is done with, like, voice recognition thing. That alone is fucking stupid. That alone is just, plot contrivance so we can continue this movie so that they have a reason to be where they're going to go. And basically, they can only leave this house after they get this voice confirmation, or, like, he has to give, like, a voice confirmation, like, blah, 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 and then they can leave the house. And, yeah, so basically, that's the whole crux of this whole priest character. And, yeah, he's fucking annoying bastard. Again, precisely because they can only leave the house when he gives, like, a confirmation thing. And he's not going to give it until he has his sample. And after he's tested it. And all that stupid stuff. And, yeah, like I said, this movie, this is where it gets really kind of stupid. Well, I mean, kind of. It gets really, really stupid. They go up to the attic. They find a bunch of other infected, possessed kids. Now we're dealing with infected kids. And there's actually this one scene where they find, like, all these sort of folders, like, draped, like, on a wall or something. And you have this guy, like, legitimately, I kind of feel with this guy. Like, there's this guy who's kind of impulsive, one of the SWAT member guys. He's really kind of impulsive. And when they find these, like, they're all, like, these folders all over. Like, if this were, like, that's, like, the wall. And you see a camera shot, like, the camera's right here. And you see all these folders with, like, kids or something. And the guy pulls it out. He pulls out one of the folders and says, here, look, here's a kid. Like, what the fuck is going on? Can you explain this to me? And then, of course, the priest doesn't say a goddamn word. You know, it's just this whole, again, it's what makes this character so fucking douchey. It's, again, this whole Vatican secrecy thing, you know, don't tell anyone because, you know, no one's supposed to know what kind of fucked up shit we're trying to pull and all that stuff. But I'm thinking, like, you know, at that point, yeah, I'm kind of getting angry at the priest. You know, the SWAT team has already lost, like, one guy to these infected, possessed, whatever, and you got this whole stuff on the wall. They've already been to this room with all that fucked up, crazy, priest stuff. At that point, I tell them a little bit about this, you know. They're risking their lives. They have, clearly, yeah, they do have their orders, but you understand they're not just sock puppets, like typical, stereotypical, military SWAT sock puppets. They want to know what the hell's going on. They want to know why they're here, why they're risking, essentially, their life. And of course the priest doesn't fucking tell them anything. He just recites, like, his mantra, you know, I gotta get the blood sample, I gotta get confirmation first before we can get out, all this stupid stuff. Yeah, it really adds a lot of douchebaggery to his character, actually. And yeah, what was I? Oh, yeah. When they go and get the blood sample, like, I'm building this thing up now for a whole bunch of minutes. They find the blood sample, and then they go to test it. Now, with a blood sample, two things, you notice. And it's the two things that, you know, make, again, here, this one. First of all, it's a glass, like, it's like this test tube. First of all, it's made out of glass. Secondly, it's not even like half full, 3/4 full. And again, those are two things that sort of made me ask, you know, what the fuck? You know, I think as much as, you know, you guys have, I've gotten, you know, blood taken, like, got my blood taken at the hospital or anything, or something like that. And I don't know about you, but whenever I do that, I do that. Yeah, I take blood from myself for no goddamn reason. Well, anyway, every time they do that at a hospital, they do two things. Or at least sometimes they do. First of all, they don't just take, like, a blood sample of, like once. Like, they have 3, like, syringes or something, like needles prepared. Like, at least 3. Like, usually it's like 3 or at the most 2, so that they have a few blood samples that they can, you know, in case one of them gets lost, in case something happens to it, that they always have a kind of backup. Or at least that's what I think they're doing with it. Like, I have no idea. I'm just a guy, you know, take blood from me if you must, thrice if you must, and I don't really care what you do afterwards with it. I got enough blood to go around. And the second thing is, number 2, you'll always notice this, and they do this for this exact same reason. For the exact same reason that something like what happens in the movie doesn't happen in real life. They usually do put this into, like, plastic, like vials or something like that. And of course they do this for the one exact reason. You know, if you have a test tube, or like the glass vial test tube they have in the movie, of course if you let this thing fall to the floor, it's not going to break. sure, yeah, the blood's gonna get it's gonna spill all over the interior of the tube of the vial, but it doesn't break. So you still have the blood. You still, even if you knock down the entire, the entire blood, tray, the one with the holes, where they have all these different things lined up. Even if you knock this entire thing down, the blood samples, they're still going to be okay, precisely because it is plastic, and plastic doesn't break all that easily. You're really just going to have to take a hammer and hammer on this thing for a while to break it. And in the movie, that's what's so retarded. First of all, it is a glass vial, as I said, it's glass, and it's only half full. And of course, again, like I said, the vials in the hospital when you get your blood taken, they usually fill this thing just to a good degree. It's usually always 3/4, at least half full or 3/4 full. So they actually have, even from one sample, they have enough to go around. And of course, I don't know, it's I don't know if it's plot convenience or whatever, but that's the thing that really makes, it makes no goddamn sense. Now, what happens is, when they go test this thing, now they're going to go test this thing. How do they do that? Well, and it's basically something that one of the SWAT team guys asked, what do you mean with testing? Can't we just take this thing and be off? And he's like, and the priest is like, oh, no. We have to test this my way, the Catholic way, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Basically what they do is they get this blood, they pour some of it into a bowl, they have this table, and here they have this, it's like a cross and some, cloth kind of thing. And here they have a bowl. Something. So they basically take this thing and then pour it into the bowl. And then the priest takes out this cross and he does some sort of, it's supposed to be a prayer, but let's face it, it's an incantation. It's basically all that is. That's all a prayer is. It's essentially an incantation. And he basically does this with the cross. He holds it just above the cross, and then we get the stupid shit from that Al Pacino movie where he's the devil and he holds his finger into the holy water and it starts boiling and all that shit. They do that here again. He holds the cross over the blood. It starts boiling and then it catches fire. Now we're not even getting into any sort of maybe even a theological argument or some scientific argument. Now we're just getting into magic. At this point, that was the point where this movie, just kind of died for me. At that point, it was fuck any sort of pondering skepticism, anything like that. We're just gonna go do magic. We're just gonna have this guy do some magic tricks and all that stuff, and we're not even gonna bother trying to, leave it open to your imagination or something, which again, kind of is part of horror, where sometimes you don't see what's going on, you don't kind of know what's going on, you kind of ponder, it kind of leaves up to your imagination and all that. Yeah, this movie just decided, you know what, fuck it. It's just gonna be an exorcism movie. Something like that. We're not even gonna try to be artistic or make some kind of sense. We're just gonna be balls are goofy. And it is kind of goofy itself, the whole cross over the a bowl kind of thing. Because again, my gears sort of start working, and I'm thinking like, you know, how much do you want to bet that this can again be explained with some chemical reaction or something? I don't know, that there's some, like, it sounds pretty retarded, but just go with it, that there's some sort of chemical in the cross, like when they made this, like there's some sort of, I don't know, chemical that snuck in, whatever, and that blood has been in this vial for like decades, perhaps, and maybe they've gotten some chemicals in while that one priest was putting it in, and then maybe, kind of a sort of like a chemical reaction kind of thing, I don't know, something like that, that then the blood starts boiling because all the molecules are being pressed together, and then something like that, just $10 worth of it, but it's not actually like magic. Okay, so now I've basically talked about the test thing. Now we're sort of getting to the ending of this whole movie, and here we get the last big fuck you, because at the end of this movie, essentially the host, like the female host, basically comes back. No explanation. No, wait, there is an explanation, but you're gonna have to wait till the end of the movie. You're gonna have to strap yourself in for the last scene of this goddamn movie. Now, basically, the host comes back, like, what was her name? Angela Vidal comes back. She's got like this whole, like, basically she's dressed the way at the end of the last movie, and they basically ask her like, how did you? No, wait, that's at the end. They basically ask her, how did you survive? And yeah, okay, sorry. Anyway, they find her, and well, since the glass vial that I've just talked about, one of the SWAT guys basically had it, and he dropped it when it just got so hot. He basically dropped it, and of course, again, as I said, because it's made of fucking glass, it breaks. Had you used plastic, it would still be in one piece. But it's gotta be out of glass, so it's gotta fucking break. And of course now, they've spilt the entire blood. Now, the priest still needs his blood sample. He can't give his walkie-talkie order before he has his blood sample, because he's such a fucking douchebag. Now, how are they gonna get the blood sample? Yeah, they basically go up, they go upstairs to like the attic, do this fucking insane possessed woman to basically get the blood sample. That is like you couldn't have found an easier way. You couldn't have just lured her into a trap, or just take a hammer and just clunk her over the head, strap her to a chair or something, and you have her, and then you could just take out all the blood you need. Like they did, they actually do this with this one kid who gets possessed. They basically just strap him to a chair and ask him useless questions. Well, they're useless because they basically ask him, he's basically now possessed by this girl who can now talk to them, and yeah, basically just useless dialogue to the point that, she's upstairs in the attic, something that we already knew. We already know she's up there in the attic. You didn't need to tell us that. Thank you very much. yeah, so basically they have to go into the attic again because Priest McDouchebag needs his blood sample. So they basically go up with the girl. For some reason, now we're doing The Descent Part 2. You survived this horrible tragedy, whatever, but we're not going to believe you, or, you just got to come back because we say so. You got to go up with us to the attic, even though you've already been there and you know what's lurking up there. Like, again, it's The Descent 2. It's basically now The Descent Part 2. With that one useless character where they take her back to the cave, because we don't believe you, and you're coming with us down to that cave, and blah blah blah. They basically do this thing in this movie too, where they take the girl back up to the attic, and again, that's where the scene with the tub plays in. I think it's that scene or that part of the movie with the tub where that one SWAT guy looks down, and then like what I explained a few minutes ago. And then basically, yeah, they find her. They find the possessed girl. The host basically takes a gun, like a big pump gun or whatever the hell it is. The girl's like, the possessed woman is basically right in front of her with a pump gun, and bam, blows her whole head off and stuff like that. And then the priest, I don't get it. Like, the priest completely loses his mind. Like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Now we can't get the blood, blah, 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 blah. And I'm kind of thinking, you have a whole pool of blood now. Like, what does it matter? I mean, do you really need her, like, alive? Was that ever addressed? Was that ever established that you need the blood from, like, her alive or something? Beats me. Basically, and then we get into the really retarded ending, which is kind of funny, actually, if you think about it in, like, an adult kind of sense. Yeah, basically what happens is they're all sort of locked in, or they're like in this room or something where the host like shot the possessed girl. And again, there was this sort of like tiny little bit that kind of got me with this. And of course the movie manages to fuck that up. Basically what happens is after they kill the girl, the possessed girl, and they're in this, I don't know if they're in the same room or something. They have the whole camera lighting back on, it's all normal and all that. And basically what happens is the host character, the woman, basically completely snaps. Because, again, the douchey priest isn't gonna let them go. They're like, there are three people now. From probably, if you put all of them together, 6, maybe? 3! There are 3 people! The douchebag, the host, and the camera guy. There are 3 people. And the priest is still not willing to give his order to let them go, let them out, even though there are 3 people. Fucking douchebag. Anyway, that's one of the parts where this movie again sort of thing kind of had me, where the girl, the host, basically takes the gun and just whacks it over the priest's head. Like 2 or 3 times she just whacks it over his head, saying, why don't you just fucking call your guys, why won't you let us go? Why, I'm just gonna beat you over the head so long and so often till you give the fucking order, as long as I have to, as hard or maybe as soft as I have to make sure you don't just die or something. And that did kind of get me, because that's what I would do if I were in that situation. I'd just strap this guy down to a chair and just, I'm just going to beat you so long until you give your goddamn order. We're only three people, and we want to get the hell out. But again, this movie sort of ruins it, and now we get to the big bullshit ending. Basically, after she's clunked this guy over their head with the gun for several minutes, she then shoots the cameraman. The guy falls down, and you get the camera basically lying there. And basically what happens is, what turns out that the reason the host survived, yeah, you really gotta barf at this ending. Basically, the reason the host survived is because she herself is now possessed. She is now possessed by that demon, what the fuck ever that was in that girl. Whatever. Again, it's basically here. This one. So basically what happens is it's exposed that she's possessed, and she can sort of alter voices and all that. So basically what happens is she gets onto the priest is like on the ground, and she gets onto him like she's gonna, like, I don't know, fuck him or something. It really, for a minute, I actually thought they were gonna go there, that she's gonna like go, ride his penis or something like that. I honestly thought that's what they're gonna go for. But basically what she does is she says some stupid nothings to the priest, something to the effect of, you failed, Jesus is dead, blah, 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 all that cliched exorcist stuff. And then she takes this walkie-talkie and then alters her voice. Again, it's never explained why they can do that. It's never explained, if they can alter it, if it's only possible to alter that of like people that are in this room, like do they have to make physical contact first? It's never explained. Basically what she does is she takes this walkie-talkie and in his voice, so it's voice activated, so he takes like the walkie-talkie and then basically says something to the effect of, almost everyone's dead, there are only two sort of survivors, like it's the girl and me, but I'm infected, so I'm gonna stay behind. And that's basically how the demon basically escapes. And then we get to the last shot of the movie, which is incidentally the very first shot of the second movie, which is the last shot from the first movie. They basically started REC2 with the ending shot of REC1. Why? I don't know. It kind of doesn't make any sense. Perhaps. Maybe for people who haven't seen the first one, but it's sort of... Anyway, they basically ask her, like, how did you escape? How did you get out? How is it possible that you're the only goddamn survivor in this where everyone else died? So then we get a cut, and then we get to the first scene of this movie, the ending scene from the first movie, and again we see Angela. I keep forgetting her name. I'm so sorry. Angela Vidal. Sorry. I think the real actress name is Manuela Velasco. Correct me if I'm wrong. We get this last shot of her on the floor in front of the camera. Again, it's camera lighting. She gets pulled back. Now, in the first movie, at the end of the first movie, that's where the film ends. Well, not ends, she says something, like I've already explained. She says, like, Pablo, record everything, blah, blah, blah. But that's basically where the first film ends. Now, the scene then goes on. We then see her, she somehow then escapes from the clutches of this girl that's pulled her back. She basically scampers up to the camera, tries to take it, blah, blah, blah. And then we see her with her back, lying with her back on the ground. And then the possessed lady, the possessed girl, woman, sort of gets on top of her. And then we see like what's like her tongue, like basically going down and like into her throat. Yeah, so basically the host gets deep throated. It's basically like, I don't know, trailer for like Deep Throat Part 3 or 4 or something like that. She's basically getting deep throated. And it's fucking comical. Like that's the ending they went with. Like that is how this whole possession thing is supposed to transfer. You're getting deep throated. I'm sorry. This thing is so retarded. You see her tongue and her real that last scene is kind of worth it. Again, if you see this in sort of like this adult, sort of pornographic, deep-throating context, it's funny. It's funny. But again, even this gets ruined by the movie if you think about it for too long. Because, well, first of all, why them? Like, why her? Why the woman? In the first part, we see that she knocks out the camera guy, like Pablo, the camera guy, knocks him out. Why doesn't she possess him? Or why doesn't she possess anyone else in the room, in the house that died? Yeah, is this something that can only transfer to females? If so, why didn't she possess the old lady? Why didn't she possess the mother? And is there an age limit? Why didn't she possess the kid? Oh, and speaking of the kid, remember that dog that they talk about in like the first movie, that they made this sort of assumption that maybe the dog got infected and that's how it all sort of started? Well, it's never addressed. It never comes up once, ever. We only get one shot of like a photo of like the girl and her dog, but it's never addressed. It's never mentioned anywhere, at least not in this movie. I think the third movie, there's a third one, that sort of takes this dog kind of thing and then turns it into like the backdrop for that story. And it's supposed to be kind of goofy, the third one, like it doesn't take itself all that serious anymore. I think I'm going to watch it, but yeah. REC2, final thoughts? Don't see it unless, well, if you've seen the first one, just leave it for the first one. Maybe see the third one because it doesn't take itself all that seriously anymore, because they're obviously supposed to be going for like comedy kind of thing, like horror comedy. But, you know, REC2 is, in a way, it's basically The Descent Part 2. You know, if you've seen the first one, stick to the first one. don't watch this one. It's fucking stupid. And that's basically all I have to say. I had a good laugh at the end with the deep throating, and I got a few chuckles out of the first one, which were I explained, and I still like the first one, but the second one, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Skip it. Burn it if you see it. Burn it. If you see copies of this DVD, buy it. Burn it. Toss it. It's not worth watching. It's a waste of time. And with that, I say bye.